Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Waharakak double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well over the flock. Shalom and salutation to brothers out here that's pushing words of truth and sincerity. Shalom to the Akim and the Aqua. All right, this is pretty much my first live going from the car, so you can bear with me on that. The title of the video, let me see if I can read it from here, is basically Eve met Satan and all hell broke loose. The second title was going to be Eve wasn't trying to change until the serpent beguiled her. Going back to Eve in the garden. We all know the story. If you don't, you should read up on that. How Eve was beguiled by the serpent, all right, to eat from the tree of good and evil, where the knowledge of good and evil will come. Basically to set her above what her position was and what their knowledge was based on at that point in time. All right, and how do you fast forward that to modern day? How do you make that modern? In modern times, it'd be Eve wasn't trying to be equal with Adam until the serpent beguiled her with this woman's liberation. So you have a situation now where women are being beguiled and had been, all right, with this idea of equality, this idea of liberating themselves. And just that alone pretty much destroys the mindset and the mentality of all families. The nucleus of the family is that the mind frame of the children that's being reared up. That 97% of all children in the U.S. is raised by at least one mother in the household. I think the statistic is around 50% of all children are raised with only one mother in the household, right? Either 50, 40. So that number is steadily increasing. And what you're going to see is an abundance of evil. You're going to see an abundance of young, little, wicked jakes being brought up into the society that they don't even utter good words, and because there's a complete overhaul of the mentality of the mind of the young, man. Now, our grandmothers weren't trying to control these men. What your grandmother did was work on herself, cater to the family. The grandmother didn't worry about what the man was doing, her husband was doing when he left the house. She wasn't following him around. She wasn't asking him 1,000 questions when he came back in the house. The grandmother's job was to rear up the family, focus on herself, focus on her children. In this day and age, the woman want to know where you at, what you doing, how much money you got, how much you spent, at what time, let me see your phone. Women's liberation. So that's the first point. Our grandmother wasn't trying to control the men. Now, I got a clip from Fresh and Fit, and I'm just going to play the audio in which they had Charleston White on, and they was getting into some interesting things. So hopefully the video quality is not that bad and y'all can hear it.
You've already sexually satisfied him.
Facts.
Just that simple. A woman can't do that. She have to have a whore nature to even compete with a man's sexual drive. A woman have to be perverted to have the same nature sexually as a man.
Too many bodies.
I always say,
Okay, so how?
men get turned on like a light switch, just on and off. Women get turned on like a volume knob. You got to slowly turn it on.
Okay.
We're very different. So
Yeah,
How can you compromise those values?
Well, it's not values, it's nature.
Well, compromising nature.
Because
you don't compromise yours. You still want a man that's
No,
taller
but
than you.
I would though. If
No, you won't.
No, you won't.
Yeah.
Bro.
Listen, this.
I mean, if you are a horn dog and I'm in love with you, bro,
You are.
what you want me to do? Like, come on, bro. Like, I want commitment.
Well, that's how a lot of
And
women
whatever
do.
he wants, I can provide.
Yeah,
You feel what I'm saying?
that's how a lot of women
How
do.
would you compromise
Well,
that?
that's how a lot of women get strung out on drugs just to be on drugs with the guy. I don't want, if I'm sexually driven, I don't want my woman meet my nature. Most men are gonna go sneak off somewhere and jack off because he don't want you to meet that nature.
Yeah.
He's gonna be watching porn somewhere, jacking off in the bathroom. Most guys don't want their women to be a freak. They don't want their woman to be a porn star. He gonna be turned off by that shit.
Yeah.
He want a stranger to be that, not his woman.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, how can we
You
compromise?
can't, mama. When I tell all women, you focus
There
on
should be a way.
you focus on trying to be a better woman. I don't need you to compete with me sexually. I need you to know how to get me healed when I'm sick. I need you to know how to pray for me when I'm down. I need you to know how to speak life into me when I'm feeling hopeless.
Preach.
I need for you to encourage me when the job making me. I don't need you to be this that you think I need you to be.
Yes, Lord.
That's why he was saying you got it's difficult talking to you guys because y'all are so.
He say he's difficult talking to y'all because y'all so young. That's just a little quick clip that I found on Fresh and Fit that basically it shows that once the woman began to compete with us and began to want to be equal to us, that's when it all failed and went downhill. And that example was just exudes what the female nature is all about. Once Satan gets involved, when Satan gets involved in your family, when Satan gets involved with your thoughts, when Satan gets involved with a man and his emotions, when Satan gets involved with a man and his ego, when Satan gets involved with a woman, all hell breaks loose every time Satan gets involved. All hell breaks loose. What he said, you know, the fact that they were so young, it ain't even that the woman so young, is that Satan got to her already. Okay? And the scriptures go into this. Now I'm gonna quote it. The scripture says, some men will be able to lead away silly women captive. Why is it going to that? Because there's a issue of women being silly. And silliness goes back to simplicity of it all. That's why Satan was allowed to beguile Eve. And the leading away silly is of certain camps, certain philosophies you can introduce to a woman, and she'll, by design, if it sounds good, she'll go with it. Now, what's about to be introduced in a big way? I wrote down a few things. Prepare for your Eve to supplant you into taking the mark. Prepare for your Eve. That's a dangerous thing. You know how easily your Eve is going to be interested in taking the mark, and she going to try to supplant you the same way Adam was supplanted by Eve in the garden. Because silly women can be led away captive. It's not, you're going to go home one day, she's going to have pamphlets and pamphlets. She might even have somebody in the house that's telling y'all how easy a life is going to be with the mark, with the charagma, with the incision. Your woman, your Eve, is going to try to supplant that idea in your head. Prepare for that. Prepare for that conversation. You laying down, you pillow talking, and Eve straight up got the idea, the brilliant idea, why don't she just get the mark so that she could supply, or why don't you, it's coming, man. The scripture says, led away silly women captive. So they can be led astray and led away. That's how that serpent was allowed to beguile Eve in the garden, the most subtle beast of the field. We know that serpent was a man. This is where Esau, Edom, gets his cunning ways and his serpent-like ways from, his craftiness, his cunningness. He's able to devise and scheme and run schemes on you and your family. And when that MOTB comes out, guess who's going to be, he's going to push her through? That woman, man. Trouble in the flesh, the scripture says you will have when you have a woman. Paul said, I'd rather you be like me. One of the advantages of not having no woman, that Paul also, is that you don't have trouble in the flesh from your own person, the person that you lay down with, the person that you love to hold at night, the person that you never suspected would take the jab, but take these things. You've been probably pillow talking and telling this woman since day one, they gonna come out with the MOTB. And when that time comes, you gotta be prepared to hear her push it the most. I'm tired of this life. Well, what we gonna do now? I'm going to take it, and I'm telling them, right? The scripture said your foes should be of your own household. You gotta prepare for these moments. Brothers know that. Brothers mentally are prepared for family to give you up. You prepared for siblings to give you up. You prepared for your Eve, your baby mothers to want to take the seeds and all go get the mark. How do we know this is possible? Because the natural capabilities and the instinct of women to be the weaker vessel and to go along with the flow. Scripture says you will have trouble in the flesh by having a woman. All right, yeah, you need to get your stuff off and you like to deal with women, okay, but make sure that you prepare for that trouble when she prepares to tell you all about the advantages of taking an MOTB when that time comes. The scripture says many men shall go out of their wits because of women. Kings shall leave fathers and mothers and, right, go to war for women. So do be prepared that your flesh gonna want to hear what Eve got to say. She might actually sit you down, passing you pamphlets, and like, just hear me out. Your ass sit down, man. You got to be prepared for the number one person in your life, because in the kingdom, Eve could be like your best friend. In the kingdom, man, I was thinking about it, meditating on it. Some of our wives is gonna be our best friends. We're gonna have wives, plural, and they're gonna be a lot of them is gonna be our best friends. You're gonna raise nations with these wives. But in this society here, the scripture says she that is mine enemy. So your best friend will do you dirty out here, man. She that is mine enemy. Prepare for that day when the MOTB is plastered upon the radios and upon the news channels and upon your phones and your Apple Watches and everything. And Eve be the main one pushing it for you to get it. I wrote down here, listening to the reasoning of Eve lets you know they'll rationalize taking the MOTB. You gotta listen. When I'm watching Fresh and Fit, and I'm watching how these women is rationalizing why they go and be promiscuous. Because he cheated, so I'ma go cheat. And the dude will simply ask, so because he did something what you consider bad, or you go out and do the same wrong, that's equality. That's the rationalization of a woman. They'll rationalize wickedness. That lets you know they're gonna rationalize the MOTB when they come out. Eve reasons for equality where there should be order. They rationalize for equality. We should all be the same. No, we are all the same. All right. I want a man that treats me equal. If I don't cheat, he shouldn't either. I'm not sleeping with nobody. You shouldn't either. The rationalization of your queen out here is the same rationalization that makes them think they're equal where they should be. It's the same rationalization that they're gonna have for the MOTB. The scripture says you will have trouble in your flesh, man. Be prepared for your woman to pass you the pamphlet that says the benefits and the advantages of getting an MOTB charagma, man. Be prepared, man. When you listen to FNF, like I played the clip earlier, and they arguing with a woman who basically is committed adultery because her man dealt with other women, but loved her and came back to her, and she rationalized because he did that, so I stepped out on him. And he said, so you're going to be a hoe? You okay with being a hoe? Is that your nature to be a hoe? She said, no. So you rationalize to do wicked. The scripture said, don't render evil for evil. You're not supposed to rationalize evil. Even if you think somebody did wrong with you, you're not supposed to retaliate in that way. Now, the scriptures do say thou shalt meditate terror, but there's a time for that. The scriptures say we also going to be persecuted beyond we're going to be persecuted in a major way. And part of that persecution is being kept from the hour of temptation, not being willing to take any MOTB, no charagma, no incision in your forehead or in your flesh to buy or sell, even when your woman is the main one advocating for it. That day is coming, man. Eve justifies wicked behavior, adultery, divorce with equality or retaliation. The retaliation is good enough for Eve to say, yeah, he cheated on me, so I cheated on him. You're not equal to that man. Cheated. What with this westernized, yeah, according to Western philosophy, according to westernization, that's something called cheating. Where if a man step out, the nature of a man is to have, if he creates one family, he want to duplicate it. He want to create it again. He created a great situation where the woman takes care of the household. He comes and he takes, and he has the advantage of, he gets fed, he go naturally, instinctively, based upon the sperm counts and everything. Naturally in a man, he wants to duplicate that because we want to be fruitful and multiply. It's not in the woman's natural ability to go and have sex with multiple men. Even for that reason, you can only have one baby a year, when a man can produce however many possible. So westernization, rationalizing with a westernized mind, which is basically a mind developed by Satan himself, couldn't find, this is the mind created by Esau Edom of the woman. Woman's lib, and the title says, as soon as Satan talked to Eve, all hell broke loose. She wanted this, she wanted power, she wanted to be on the level. And to this day, women's liberation and feminism and westernization as a whole has corrupted the mind. There is no family nucleus, no family unit, man. As long as the woman can find a reason for divorce. You know what the reason for divorce is? Retaliate. He cheated. I didn't appreciate him cheating. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Did he stop taking care of the children? Did he stop coming home? All right. And even men in the westernization, they think they doing something wrong. We talking about a natural instinct of the man. The scripture says men doing things unseemly. Even the nature of the woman has been changed to do that which is unnatural, unseemly with women. Why? Because everything about this society is backwards, and good is painted as evil. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness. You shouldn't be able to stand another day in this society, man. Rearing up children, you gotta wear this weird ass smile on your face, like you actually entertained with the idea of sending your children off to a place in which the whole library is contained with books on sexualizing them. You in a system that perverts the minds of your children, and you're okay every day waving at them, sending them off into that. Well, guess who usually don't got no problems with that? Eve, because she been beguiled too. So prepare for that day when you walk into your house and there's somebody there telling you that your woman brought in the house about the advantages of taking the MOTB, man, or getting some type of neural transmitter. God damn, man, this place is out of here, man. Eve justifies wicked behavior, adultery, divorce with equality and retaliation. Well, we're equal, so I stepped out on him, he stepped out on me. Where are we, man? What kind of bizarre world is this, man? If I go and have 5 babies in 1 year, can you do that? No. If a man has sex with multiple women, he's the man. You know what it took for a man to have multiple partners? For a woman to even see him as a reasonable choice? He got to be the man. And even in this Western weird society, he got to be somebody. A woman just got to walk outside on a rainy day. The scripture says her desire shall be toward her husband in Genesis. Her desire shall be toward her husband. Why is it not like that now? Because Eve has been beguiled by Satan once over again. Once over again. And the next beguiling, he already got her right where it is. She's rearing up the children. Where 50%, over 50, I believe 50% of children in America is being raised by their mothers and no fathers around. This is a recipe for disaster. And we have been in this situation for a long time. The grandmothers of our grandmothers, they didn't give a damn what the man did until he came home, because she knew he was coming home. They give a damn about the other women. They got songs about it that came out in the 70s. I don't care about them other girls, just be good to me. Women was singing. Like, I don't care about them other girls. Now, you know what's going on? Even in Japan, people are dying without having no children, and nobody's taking care of them. They don't even have no spouses, and they found dead because they stinking inside their apartments, and that's how they found dead. They're lonely as hell. Kevin Samuels was right. Buy a dog, die alone. That's the recipe of what's going on in America, because he been beguiled by Satan. The average man want to just go home to a family and shit. And yeah, he gonna deal with something on the side, man, because it's a natural instinct. That don't mean he gonna drop what he doing with his family. Her desire shall be toward her husband. Not no more. Not in Esau's bizarre world. Not in this satanic, ritualistic, wicked left-hand side of a world that we live in, man. Left-hand side of a world, man. It ain't supposed to be like this. And the Lord's going to restore order. The scriptures tell you that, man, the scripture says the earth is polluted because of the inhabitants thereof. The earth is defiled. There's a lot of defilement. Your mind is defiled as well. The scripture said that for the turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as a potter's clay. The mind is upside down, man. And it's a disaster, man. You already know. And when she go to college, you know what that mean. You know how promiscuous they is, bro. I did a old video on it showing you that the age of consent used to be a lot younger. With the age of marriage, the average age of women getting married used to be in their 14s at one point in time in the early 1900s, I believe, not that long ago. And now the average age of marriage is like 28 to 34 or some shit. Don't you know the average age in which a woman, by the age of 18, I think it's almost 85% of women have already had sex. So by the time you get married to your wife, you sure as hell she not gonna be a virgin. What are you wearing white for at the wedding? What does that even signify if it don't mean purity? The scriptures tell you that it signifies purity. White robes, that's a pure robe. That means there's pureness on. He has righteousness on. We're supposed to be chaste virgins for the Lord. That means we can't be into idolatries, and we can't be into witchcraft and still serve mammon and serve the Most High. You got to be pure and righteous for the Lord to even require you as a bridegroom in that day. How much more the woman in our lives, in our lifetime, man. But the scripture said Israel has played the harlot. So our people have played the harlot. So for our women shall be harlots in the streets, man. It's a part of the curses that we got to watch our Eves be wicked as hell, man. Tatted up. Just nasty, man. Hoes. You don't even want that. And a man could deal with a hoe and not have no feelings towards it, not have no emotional towards it. But that's not what he wants his wife to be. It goes on, you know, the scripture says, because through Eve it came the beginning of all sin, and through her we all die. This is what happened when Satan talked to Eve in that garden. He got in her head, and from then on she introduced to Adam what not to do. And if you really want to know what not to do, just learn from Eve. Eve's been introduced. She's the main one in debt because she goes to the colleges. She's the most graduated. She's going through a situation where everything on her mind is about equality, retaliation. She can't keep a man. She's all up in every other dude's business, and she's a hoe out here in these streets, man. That is our nation. That scripture says, how is that gold become dim? That is the conundrum here. That is how is that gold become dim, man? We was once gold, the standard. Our women was the standard. The scripture says she was so delicate that her foot didn't touch the ground. The nastiness of these of our women now, they worse than the gutter. They're worse than the gutter. And that quality came from everything that they learned from Esau, who is Satan, who is a so-called white man. You taught all women, Eve, how to be pretenders of that which is good and lovers of evil. It goes on, right? In scripture, I'm just quoting them now because I can't All wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. Why do we need to know that? To know that when the MOTB come out, Eve gonna be the first one passing you pamphlets. She might even hit you with the "my lord, this is why I don't think this is the mark." She gonna hit you with that. I don't really think it's the charagma. It can't be. She gonna lose faith. She's void of faith, man. She lacks faith. Weaker vessel. So be prepared to hear this whole... Listen, let me sit you down. Look, sit down when you hear this. Don't be mad. Whatever you do, don't be mad. She's gonna hit you with that. Don't be mad. Telling you about why you should take the MOTB, the charagma, because it can't be the MOTB. I know what you've been thinking. I know what you learned out there. I know what you told me about the MOTB. Just hear me out. It's gonna happen. All wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. You gotta know that. Be prepared to hear that, man. You're gonna have trouble in the flesh with Eve. And lastly, I'm gonna bring out this article, a little bit of it, a snippet of it, on why. Here's some facts to support my thesis. All right, this is just a thesis of what I believe how it's gonna go down. A lot of brothers, Eve is gonna try to push them into getting the mark when they come out. This is an article called the gender Crown Vic Gap. More women than men are getting Crown Vic. All right, as you can see here, look at the title. Woo! More women than men. We got evidence to back it up. Evidence to back it up. The studies is out proving that more women than men have gotten the Crown Vic, and we knew that. We knew that. Everyone in the very short line was a woman, said Steiner, 70. And then it goes on into some facts real quick. It says, oof, man, this is a good one. Let me slow up a little bit so I can get this out. Bear with me. As of early April, statistics show that I'm gonna call it the V breakdown between women and men was generally close to 60 and 40%. Women made up 58% of those V'd up in Alabama, 57% in Florida, for example. States don't measure these Crown Vics by gender uniformly, though some break down the statistics. Let's go on to more stats, right? In Kentucky, for instance, 64% of residents who had received at least one dose of the V by early February were women and 36% were men. 64% of women got the V, got the Crown Vic, that first dose. 36% were men. As early as April, the stats has shifted to 57 to 43. Why is that? Because the women started to probably coax the men into, you ain't get it yet? You ain't get it? You know what they did on the dating apps? If you was on the dating apps, you know for sure what happened. They started telling you if you didn't get the Crown Vic, you can only date people who didn't get the Crown Vic. Yo, it's crazy. Right? And you got a lot of brothers that are like, I don't want to deal with no woman that got the Crown Vic anyway, man. Scripture said, through her we all die. Of her beginning of sin, and through her we all die. Come on, man. Come on, bro. Jeez, man. Yeah. All right. It's about to go down, man. 64% residents at least received one dose by early February were women. 36% were men. So the gap is crazy. You should see the graph. And as time went on, it started to even out and balance out between men and women. But when that thing first came out, the gap was all for mostly women, and men stayed away. What's different when the MOTB, when the charagma come out? Nothing. The women's going to coax their husbands, their men, to go and get it. That's what's going to happen, man. Once again, the article is called The Gender Gap, right? The Gender Gap. Just type in the C, whatever number, gender gap. Hey, I will write this out. This video is edifying. Till next time, Shalom. Call Loyam, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash, Shalom.